Welcome back to another tier list update. I've been updating my tier list, and you guys have been really enjoying it, and this is another one where I have kind of a lot to say. So, the trap tier list is the most popular single tier list I've ever made, other than like the whole compilation of all of them. And I was looking at this list thinking, I have some new things to say. Like, I have less favor in the broadside nowadays. I've really taken to wall darts since then. You know, you'd think with 6,800 hours in this game, I'd be pretty set in my ways, but I try new stuff all the time. In fact, I'm recording this on stream and we just tried out the flame grill trap, and you're gonna be shocked to hear it's about as bad as I thought. Never mind, that one's not as exciting, I promise. It's gonna stay where it is in its own disgusting little tier. It's so bad. We'll talk about that later. But then, you know, wall dynamo I've been using a lot more, and I think healing is very important. So we're just gonna go through this list and talk about where my new opinions lie. So first and foremost, I'm just gonna get an easy one out of the way. Steel electric field. It is not the best trap in the entire game. I hate to call anything that, because no single trap, nothing can do everything. It can't do literally everything. It's not going to stall enemies. It's not going to stop a smasher. But if you want something to turn your brain off and spam, it's great. It can be energy, which affects every element equally. And then, of course, it can also be nature, which gives it extra damage versus those water enemies. I personally... Oh, I had this enlarged, and you'll see why. I actually personally have 2 copies of this because it's really, really strong, and having multiple versions goes a long way. Now, the anti-air trap recently got patched. So it used to be a thing where if you put an anti-air trap on top of a tire trap, it would lag out the game, and it would be a horrible, horrible combination. Now, I don't know where I put it last time. I put it in A tier. I feel like it's kind of essential. It's not completely necessary in every single mission. It's a trap that you really need to put down, or else lobbers will just make you lose. We were recording a video or doing something on stream one time, and we were completely crushing a mission until flingers and lobbers just annihilated us. This was during the love season where the love lobbers are spawning more often, but they still just destroyed everything. I'm going to take S tier very seriously as usual. I want a trap up there that is like peak of the peak. Typically in my S tiers for these tier lists, I want something that can do it all, but as I mentioned, no trap can do it all. So as what I consider to be an essential trap, I think the anti-air trap should actually be up there. So I'm going to take S tier a little more seriously than usual, but I feel like the anti-air trap is required in some missions. If you don't use it, you will die, but you can get along without it. I don't know. We'll put it in high A tier because I don't want this trap to be mistaken. Now, the tire trap I put up there for example purposes, but it is just right up there with the steel electric field. It is really, really good at damage. If you put it up 2 or 3 tiles high, it's going to bounce up and down a lot. It's going to do a ton of damage. And directionality is very important. So depending on where you're facing, it will knock enemies in a very predictable position. So if you face one direction, putting the trap down, it will stagger enemies behind you, which is really, really effective. So if you face your objective while putting your tire traps down, the enemies will be knocked further away from your objective very effectively. To the extent that if you are facing your objective and the enemies are going down a hill to get towards your objective, it will actually knock enemies back up the hill. It's that good. So it can stun and stagger enemies and literally move them around very effectively while also doing respectable amounts of damage. The tire trap is just a kingpin trap and everybody knows it. It's definitely got to be up there. Now, one of the major changes in this tier list is the broadside. I will give it S tier damage. This is not a trap you want to sleep on because it is super good, and it is the fastest way to kill trap vulnerable mini bosses because of raw damage output. However, if you are a noob, you might not know this, and if you are over the power level 100, you should know this. Broadsides need to be facing each other, or at the very least have a wall on the other side. The most, it's like 80% of the damage comes from the cannonballs bouncing back and forth. That's where your damage is coming from. It's not like the trap is just magically super strong and trap vulnerable mini bosses just perish in its wake. No, it's the balls bouncing back and forth and hitting it 5 times. That's what makes it so strong. And that's why trap vulnerable is being called out so much here, because you can put 4 broadsides in a row and just kill it right away. If you get lucky with the bounces, it does need to be centered on the tile. So it's not like the broadside just affects the whole tile evenly. It's more of just the cannonball straight through the middle. The other reason I hate this, nowadays rather, hate using it, is because of those walls. I cannot seem... Okay, so let me explain what's happening here. When smashers see walls, they like to break them, and they will target a beeline to your objective. So unless the trap spawns are very generous and you can make a nice clean tunnel going straight to your objective, if it was my face in this instance, you want broadsides right here, right? But spawns are shifted, spawns are in a wide area, smashers can come from a lot of angles. So no matter how much you know about the game, it's not always possible. I'm talking about regular 160 missions here, not endurance. It's not always possible in normal missions to avoid smashers or propanes or exploding death bombs. Okay, you shouldn't be using broadsides and exploding death bombs, but propanes or smashers or mini bosses to just annihilate your walls. My point in all of this is that it might be a skill issue. I'm not perfect. I trap lazily all the time. Like I said, 6,800 hours, you get a little bored. But even if you're trying your absolute best, broadsides tend to go away. They will lessen in damage over time because walls will get blown out and not replaced because you and your teammates are busy, and they just don't maintain that S tier damage in every single situation. So for those of you who skip to the end, you're going to think, why A tier? What the hell? But for those of you who listen to my explanation, you'll understand that this is an S tier trap in spirit, but it typically performs like a high A tier trap. And that's just kind of where I want to put that because it's not universal. What is our wall darts? Wall darts I've taken to very favorably. In fact, like I said, we were testing out the flame grill trap on stream. I showcased the wall dart to my viewers as an example of a trap that actually kills things. And I didn't love this back in the day just because, I don't know, I never took to using it. I always thought the broadside was just plainly better, and I just didn't think about it for several thousand hours of gameplay. But realistically, the wall dart's amazing. It shoots in a 3-tile radius, it pierces enemies, it does great damage, it's got a short reload, and it's safe enough to run a crippled on it because you're hitting multiple targets with this trap. Look at that reload, 4 seconds, and the arming delay. So it's like a 5-second cooldown, which is not too bad. In fact, I believe the broadside's actually worse than that. Yeah, 9.5, that's way worse. So it's shooting more often, it's piercing through lots of targets. If a wall gets blown out, not only is that completely fine, but you're typically placing this in open areas anyway because of that 3-range distance and because of the piercing. So wall darts are super reliable, super consistent. You can put them down, they'll do good damage, and you'll be happy for it. Now, I don't know if healing is necessarily S tier. What did I do last time? B tier? I mean, yeah. Typically, your loadout should handle healing. I feel like these traps are amazing. I've supercharged the campfire and the healing pad very well. Lately, I've been utilizing the healing pad. This is expensive. New players don't do this, but if you got a huge inventory, or if you love farming, or if you're one of those trading types, you can probably afford to do this. But I've been putting down healing pads as just a full heal. Typically, if you have max healing that's supercharged in your full lobby, in my experience, it's like 400,000 to 500,000 health, just like that. And if you're running totally rocking out, you can pretty much fully heal yourself in one go. So I'm gonna put the healing trap in A tier just because of its utilization, but the budget pick of the campfire is not to be understated. I still use campfires more than healing pads. I just put down 2 at a time, and it heals really well. It's not essential. Like I said, coconuts, I hate to say it, but survivalist, you can heal with totally rocking out. If you're using melees, you can heal with Arlene Isa. Like, there are a lot of ways to heal in this game that you don't need traps for. So I'll put it in B tier because when you need it, it's there, but it's pretty good. Now, gas trap I want to put in S tier because it's just that strong. Like I said, with the broadside, it has S tier damage. However, they took away affliction and they gave it a damage nerf a long time ago. So the gas trap, you can't just put it down and expect it to work. That's sort of what S tier is for. However, if you put like a floor freeze right below it, you freeze enemies in place, or if you use wall lights, which are now on the list, thank you, Archer. I'll explain the 2 boost pads in a bit. If you put a floor freeze right under it and you freeze enemies take more damage from floor freeze, by the way. I'm sorry, when they are frozen, they take more damage from other traps. I believe it's 20 or 25%. Regardless, they get hit harder. And it's the same directionality as a tire trap. Same as I said before. If you place it facing your objective, they will freeze and then they'll stagger backwards when they're unfrozen. You can perma stall a fatty with that. It's really, really good. And if you put that underneath a gas trap, it'll pair really well. I'm going to put the floor freeze in S tier simply because it just makes every single trap shooting frozen enemies better. It just makes every trap 20 or 25% better, and it slows the enemies down in your tunnel. It's great to use. However, the gas does need that support in order to be good. So, like I said with the broadside, it's S tier damage. You should not ignore the gas trap, but it needs a little help to get going. It either needs wall lights or floor freeze, or you could use floor spikes to slow enemies down. I'm gonna put wall lights in B tier. Where did I put it last time? I want to just sort of compare and contrast. Oh, we didn't, I placed it verbally, so I can't check without hitting play on my video. Regardless, I think B tier is okay because it's, I think, cheaper than the floor freeze. I guess that's semantics because some people can afford stuff that others can't. It depends on like what your playstyle is. Like, yeah, I think efficient parts and Oxy, I don't think that these are considerably different. In fact, maybe Oxy is a little easier to get than efficient, but in general, I think B tier is perfectly fine because in my opinion, it functions like a worse wall trap. It's on the main level, so it's still susceptible to death bombs and propanes and all that. It's still going to get torn apart by mini boss abilities, so it's not really doing anything the floor freeze doesn't, except that the floor freeze can freeze enemies. And I don't believe that there are any floor traps that are that strong. Like, you'll see, I'm going to be placing the flame grill in its own tier. I don't think retractable spikes are that strong. Tar pits are a different conversation. We'll get to that. You don't use these for damage. Like, there is no floor trap that's doing a significant amount of damage that the floor freeze is replacing. However, if you're using wall lights, now you're not getting wall darts damage. Now you're not getting broadside damage. Now you're not getting wall dynamo or Zapamax, same trap. Now you're not getting them. Now you're not pushing enemies down with wall trap. There are some amazing wall traps that exist that that could utilize that space better than the wall lights. So I feel like it's a B tier trap. It's basically just a worse floor freeze that replaces better traps. I'm gonna put some of the fun traps down just to get these out of the way. Where did I put them last time? Because I feel like they're, yeah, S tier. Like, if you're trying to get around the map, I don't utilize this often because I personally just don't think to, but the directional pad, if you stack these, you can get across the map with like 5 of them in like a perfect scenario. This is S tier movement. This is an amazing way to get around. It's super, super useful. What's also useful, but now that mantling exists, oh, where did I place this last time? Did I put it in S tier? Did I not? Okay, yeah, I put it in D tier. Yeah, I feel like you can build up to your objective super easily. Building ramps is way too easy. I can't see any scenario that you're wanting to use the jump pad. I feel like getting it up in distance, especially with mantling now, it's just a completely obsolete trap. If there was an F tier, I might put it down there, but I don't see a reason for this to exist other than, like, you know, just not wanting to get timed out of your mission. So I got a couple of fun ones there. And the double boost pad. So I'm going to put these in S tier for fun. I took my own screenshot and then Archer DM'd me with a much cleaner image. Thank you, Archer. So I can't remove these things from these tier lists. So I'm just going to leave that down there underneath my face cam. Out of sight, out of mind. I'll put it in S tier because it's fun. Boost pad was completely forgotten from the last video, and I don't think I got a single comment on it. It's technically a trap because Epic doesn't know where else to put it in the game, I don't think. So it can make your hoverboards go quicker. It's super non-essential, but it's only used by people who are screwing around, and I once got a really funny clip out of it. I don't know if the short exists on here. Maybe you guys can go look for it if you want to find it. I don't remember where I put it, but there was that clip of my friends going around, and I edited out the wall and they went off the map. So that makes it S tier in my unbiased opinion. I'll also put defenders up here. Defender pads are really good because defenders are super strong. You give them Blastotron, you give a Sniper Defender to the Blastotron 9000 or the Obliterator, it'll do great damage. I got a comment recently from somebody who uses the Duet with their defenders. Apparently, like, Steam Cloud does pretty well. I don't know about that, but Sniper Defenders at least make the defender pads super good. It's just extra damage you get. You're basically spawning in 4 pretty inexperienced teammates that also shoot constantly and never take breaks unless they're dead. So defender pads are amazing. Ceiling Zapper. I don't know where I put this last time. We'll see when my opinions change. I said C tier. I believe in endurance. This is an S tier trap. It's basically required for those bigger health targets. I do not play endurance. My lists are based on my experience, which is largely 164 player missions. And I have tried using this trap. It's super non-essential. You slap down a tar pit and you have some teammates that are paying attention, the smashers will die. I don't know if the ceiling zapper is really going to help with that. I'll move it up to B tier because I'm starting to see the merit, but I really don't think it's... I just don't see that much use for it in regular missions. Experience might change this. Hey, tune in for a 2024 trap update. Maybe you guys have convinced me. Leave some comments down below or join in on my streams. That's probably the most impactful. When I am playing the game, screwing around, join my Twitch stream link down below. Ironically, I'm streaming on YouTube today because as of recording, YouTube's just kind of the only way to go. Twitch isn't working right now. I don't know. But my point is that Ceiling Zapper, I think I can get my mind changed, but I'm sticking to it. Last time, I put floor launchers in A tier. I guess they are functionally the same as wall launchers. I prefer wall launchers because it's a little bit easier. Floor launchers, you basically can push up into a ramp, and that's how they move sideways. You can move enemies back away from your builds, you can stall a bit, you can move them over the map. Wall launchers, same deal. Both of these are pretty useful if the situation provides. I don't like stalling strategies. I like to just kill stuff. I feel like that's more in the spirit of the game. But if you got a basement in front of your objective, which I've been seeing a lot less of, by the way, in the 160s. I don't know if that's just the map layout. Probably is. But if you have them on the edge of the map as well, it's basically an insta-kill to just send them off the map. And that even works on smashers if you line it up right. Not so much floor launchers. launcher. So I think the wall launcher is more useful than the floor launcher, but I respect its I respect its utility. And I put the retractable spikes in C tier last time. That sounds about right. Its damage is good, like the ceiling zapper, but it's, again, everything I said. Floor freeze is probably just better. Like, the 20% extra damage from all the surrounding traps is probably more than the retractable spikes are going to give you, and I just don't see that it's that strong of a trap. My mind could be changed. Sound walls are rather situational. I feel like they are S tier in the way of putting them outside your traps and making the propanes drop them, but it's not like it's a clean fix. Last time I put it in C tier, I don't really know where I fall on this. I feel like it's a trap that I should use more than I do, but I almost never see myself actually putting them down. So yeah, I don't know. I'll put it in B tier right next to the wall lights because I believe they serve similar functions, maybe even a bit better. Making propanes drop before they blow up your tunnels is super good, and if I utilize them more, maybe I could take more advantage of it. And as a content creator making videos that I know newer players are watching, you should try utilizing the sound wall more often because it'll help your tunnels from getting blown up. So B tier, maybe A or S tier. I don't know. I'm very flippant on this because I feel like it's A and S tier functionality, but I've gotten along well without them. Maybe my tunnels would explode less. I don't know. I think I'm going to put it in A tier. I think keeping your tunnels alive is a pretty major component. And just because I don't use as much as I know I should, doesn't mean it's a bad trap. Tar pits, easy S tier. I don't know. It doesn't do any damage. It does technically do damage, but barely. I don't know. Tar pit's the difference between your walls getting blown up and not. I'm going to put it under the damage traps. But tar pits are essential for stopping smashers and mini bosses. The fact that a smasher can be stopped full charge deadness tracks before your walls get broken is amazing. Put these at the back of your tunnels right around your defense and do a nice circle of it, and you'll be glad you did. Super, super good trap. I'm going to put Wall Dynamo up pretty high. I don't know if it's S tier damage. I have not paid enough attention to my tunnels, but it's at the very least high A tier. I have really taken to these lately. I put them pretty low last time, but I've completely changed my mind. They are essentially like the wall dynamo, the wall darts, but they've got the range of the broadside where they can just be slapped on tunnels in weird spaces. They affect the whole area, even out to the side. They could be nature and energy, which gives it a lot of elemental coverage, and they can be really, really useful for those weird spots. This might be S tier. Maybe my mind will change in the 2024 update of this video, but very high A tier. These are the same trap, by the way. Zappomax was available in the Machinist Mina starter pack for money a long time ago. I picked it up as a content creator making a video, but if you don't have it, the wall dynamo is the exact same, and it's a super common trap. You're not missing anything other than cosmetics. These are super, super good. I'm a real fan. Wall spikes are favored by many as a utility trap, where if you just sort of slap it on your walls on the inside, people often use them on the inside of the walls just for like their healing or extra health capabilities because it's a super cheap trap. Last time I put it in D tier, yeah, I mean, you can reflect some damage. It's kind of okay. Maybe C tier. I'm not really sold on it. And last time I put floor spikes in the B tier. That makes sense because it slows enemies down, or it's supposed to. That's been bugged in a few updates recently. I'm just going to pretend it's working functionally. It's bugged right now. Healing perk doesn't work. Yes, Archer, I know. He's commenting in the stream chat. I'm ignoring bugs. In the future, when things are working as intended, the floor spikes especially do the same thing as a healing, but they should. That's just a perk, by the way. All traps have that healing. These ones are just uniquely cheap. Floor spikes can slow enemies down, make them walk slower through your tunnels, paired really well with floor freeze, although it's pretty unnecessary. I'll put these in low B tier. They are super good utility traps, but non-essential, and so they're just a fun thing to use when you're feeling it, and you won't be punished too hard for forgetting they exist. So, woo! There we go. There's my 2023 update. The list is a little different than before. We'll see what another few hundred hours of gaming experience will do. Obviously, tier lists are just my personal opinion. It's a very informed opinion, but some of these traps will change depending on a mood, and if I recorded this video 100 times, you might get 100 different lists, but this is where I'm settling now. I'm pretty confident on this, and of course, many of these traps are situational. Like, if I'm running Storm King, I use Healing Pad all the time. Like, it depends on what you're doing, where you're playing. I am just making the most general list I possibly can. I don't know where this was, and just putting that out there for you guys. Comment down below what you guys want to see. If you disagree or agree, let me know. Subscribe if you're new. Twitch link down below. I'll see you guys in the next one, and thanks for watching.